Number 7. Dennis Nichol. In March of 2016, a Chicago man was arrested for using a jammer to illegally suppress cell phone signals on the subway during his commute. 63-year-old Dennis Nichol, whom some media outlets dubbed the Silent Vigilante, worked as a financial analyst at the University of Illinois Hospital. He would later claim that he'd bought the jammer, which blocked cell phone signals in its vicinity, as he'd been desperate for a quieter commute. Nichol was exposed by IT worker Brian Rader, aged 30, who posted a picture of him on Reddit as he was actively using the jammer. Such devices are illegal to buy or use because they can shut off police radios and block emergency calls. They were initially developed by the military to disrupt surrounding communications during negotiations or hostage crises. The photo of Nichol quickly circulated online and caught the attention of law enforcement. Members of the Chicago Police Department, CTA, and the Federal Communications Commission set up an undercover sting operation. On March the 8th of 2016, Nichol was taken into custody on felony charges. According to updates on his case, he'd managed to avoid jail time and was given a deferred sentence after pleading guilty to misdemeanor charges for using an illegal device. Today's featured fan shoutout is Instagram follower Delilah Dove. To appear in our next video, send us your pic rocking the latest merch from theywillkillyou.com and send it in to us on Instagram today. Number 6. Nick Cross. A vigilante from Geelong, Australia, was charged with the murder of a 29-year-old woman in December of 2018. Nick Cross was known in the community for starting a vigilante group in 2016 after a group of teenagers had tried to break into his home while he hid inside with his daughter. Others in the community joined his initiative, and Cross claimed at one point to have 260 residents patrolling the streets with him. The group's activities gradually diminished following pressure by the authorities for citizens not to take the law into their own hands. In late 2018, Cross had no fixed address and had reportedly developed an addiction to crystal methamphetamine and heroin. The 31-year-old was arrested along with Todd Darrell Sell and Tracy Menzies, both aged 34, at a house in Sydney's West, where they'd reportedly been staying for less than 24 hours. The trio were taken into custody by police in tactical gear a few days after the charred remains of Madison Parrott had been found at the Geelong Showgrounds on the outskirts of the Victorian town. The 29-year-old woman had been living in a glamping-style tent following the recent breakup of her marriage. The motives and circumstances of her killing remained unclear. Cross was accused of shooting her in the head at a different location, then moving the body to the tent and setting it ablaze. Sell and Menzies were charged with accessory to murder after the fact. A sentence for Cross hasn't been pronounced, but during a hearing at Geelong Magistrates Court, he violently lashed out at the officers present in the courtroom, gave them the middle finger, and claimed that the state's police takes kids. Number 5. Nestora Salgado. In 2013, US woman Nestora Salgado from the Seattle suburb of Renton was arrested and detained in her birth state of Guerrero, Mexico, on criminal charges in connection to her vigilante group. After building a life in Washington, the woman would periodically return to her hometown of Olinala and help those in need. Indigenous communities such as Salgado's were allowed under state law to form their own vigilante groups. The woman, then in her late 30s, and others, sprang into action after a local taxi driver was killed for refusing to pay protection to a drug cartel. The community police of Olinala was founded in response, of which Salgado became a commander. The armed organization patrolled the area and reportedly sought to protect the rights of indigenous inhabitants, as well as to keep them safe from cartel violence and government corruption. Salgado was detained by the army in August of 2013, along with several others in the community police, on charges of kidnapping and organized crime. The main focus was the community police's detainment of 3 teenage girls suspected of dealing cocaine, as well as that of a well-connected town official accused of doing the narcos bidding. Salgado was imprisoned without a trial for 2.5 years, during which she was denied proper access to attorneys or adequate medical care. She eventually went on a hunger strike that brought international attention to her plight. Salgado was released in March of 2016 after a judge considered there was a lack of evidence to support the accusations brought against her. Number 4. Christopher Hughes. On February the 5th of 2021, an Australian woman died after she was struck by a vehicle driven by a vigilante while riding her motorbike in Townsville. 22-year-old fitness enthusiast Jennifer Board, who aspired to become a Queensland police officer, was traveling along Ross River Road. Simultaneously, Christopher Hughes was in pursuit of a stolen Hyundai iX35. The 25-year-old was described as a known vigilante whose sole focus in life, as court documents indicated, was hunting down car thieves. He was driving a Holden Statesman, which was also occupied by his girlfriend and a friend, both of whom were live streaming him chasing down the Hyundai on Facebook. Hughes was allegedly going over 70 miles per hour when he tried to ram into his target car and lost control of the Statesman. The vehicle became airborne and spun into the path of Board's motorcycle in the opposite lane. A devastating collision occurred, resulting in the young woman's death. Hughes, whose license had been suspended or disqualified 10 times since 2012, was charged with her murder in December of 2021, and his case is ongoing. Number 3. Bernard Goetz. Amidst the rising crime rates characteristic of New York City in the 1980s, an incident on a subway train in Manhattan garnered immense media attention and prompted national conversations on the limits of self-defense, vigilantism, and race relations. While riding on the subway on December the 22nd of 1984, Bernard Goetz was approached by Barry Allen, Troy Canty, and Darrell Caby, all aged 19, and 18-year-old James Ramseur. They surrounded Goetz, blocked his path, and asked for $5. Believing he was about to be robbed, the 37-year-old brandished a revolver and shot each of the teens once. All 4 survived, but Caby was left paraplegic and brain damaged as a result of his injuries. Goetz, who initially fled but later surrendered to the authorities, was dubbed the Subway Vigilante. In the high-profile case, he was both praised and vilified in the media and public opinion, as some demanded a conviction for attempted murder, while others regarded him as a symbolic avenger of New Yorkers' frustration with rising crime. Further tension stemmed from the fact that Goetz, the son of German immigrants, was white, while the teens he'd shot were black. An investigation by the Office of the U.S. Attorney determined that the shooting's triggering factor had been fear rather than race. Following several trials, Goetz was acquitted of attempted murder and only charged with carrying an unlicensed firearm, for which he served 8 months of a 1-year sentence. He filed for bankruptcy after Caby obtained a civil judgment of $43 million against him. Goetz, who became a public figure in the incident's aftermath and an activist for a tougher stance on crime, unsuccessfully ran for mayor of New York City in 2001. The subway vigilante most recently came into public attention in November of 2013. He was arrested for allegedly selling marijuana to an undercover female police officer, but the case was dismissed about a year later. Today's topic was requested by Tia Loves Ya, Alicious Al, and Makoto Fan 92. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Shauna Ford, Jason Eugene Bush, and Albert Gacciola were members of the vigilante group Minutemen American Defense, or MAD, who carried out a gruesome home invasion in May of 2009. Founded by Ford in 2007, MAD was an anti-illegal immigration group, the members of which patrolled the Arizona-Mexico border. Bush was Ford's second-in-command and reportedly had ties to white supremacist groups, while Gacciola provided intelligence about drug activities in the area. Ford, then in her early 40s, and her 2 accomplices gained access to the Arivaca home of Raul Flores Jr. by pretending to be acting in official capacity and looking for fugitives. Because of Flores' alleged drug connections, they expected to discover a stash of illegal substances and cash that would help fund the vigilante group. The trio only found inexpensive jewelry, which they took prior to executing Flores and his daughter at point-blank range. The man's wife, Gina Marie Gonzalez, survived after being shot 3 times. She armed herself with her dying husband's handgun and called 911. While she was on the phone with an operator, Ford, Bush, and Gacciola returned, and a shootout ensued between them and Gonzalez. Bush was hit in the leg, prompting him and the others to flee. His wound was treated by a fellow MAD member who would subsequently become a witness for the prosecution. Following their arrests and trials, Ford and Bush were sentenced to death, while Gacciola was given a sentence of life in prison plus 54 years. Number 1. Phoenix Jones. American man Benjamin Fodor, better known as Phoenix Jones, earned considerable media attention as a real-life superhero, Fodor decided to adopt the Phoenix Jones persona in 2010, when he was in his early 20s after reportedly becoming disillusioned with law enforcement's handling of crime in Seattle. He had extensive martial arts training, on which he relied when intervening to break up various criminal incidents. His mask and costume, which were predominantly black with gold detailing on the chest and eyes, consisted of a dragon skin brand bulletproof vest and stab plating. He patrolled the streets equipped with a stun baton, tear gas or pepper spray, handcuffs, and a first aid kit. From 2011 to 2014, Fodor was a member and de facto leader of the Rain City superhero movement, a group of Seattle residents who, like him, adopted costume superhero personas and patrolled the streets. Some of them included Buster Doe, Green Reaper, Torn, Gemini or Mantis, and Fodor claimed that all of those in the organization were skilled in martial arts. As Phoenix Jones, Fodor successfully intervened and prevented several crimes, including inebriated driving, drug deals, vehicle thefts, and a number of fights. In the process, he was shot, stabbed, and had his nose broken on separate occasions. Public opinions on Jones remained polarized, and some, including Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes, leaned towards identifying him as a misguided vigilante. This perspective became rooted in fact, particularly in light of Fodor's arrests. The first had occurred in October of 2011 when he was taken into custody for investigation of assault after he'd used pepper spray on 4 people to allegedly break up a fight. Those involved claimed that no altercation had occurred and that the masked man had attacked them. He spent 7 hours in jail before posting the $3,800 bail, and the case against him was ultimately dropped. During the proceedings, Phoenix Jones revealed his identity in court and pledged to continue patrolling the streets. His transition from superhero to villain was further solidified in January of 2020 when he was arrested as a suspected drug dealer. He had allegedly tried to sell MDMA to an undercover police officer, and law enforcement also reported that Fodor and an accomplice were in possession of 4 grams of cocaine. Thanks for watching. If you could get bitten by a radioactive animal and then have powers inspired by it, what would your superhero name be? Let us know in the comments section below.